panels, hack is the only way for us to get check and balance. Proud to propose. Firstly, several important characterization in this CV. First, multi-dimensional companies. What do they usually do, and what is the characterization of it? A multinational company is a corporate organization that owns and controls production of goods and services in at least one country other than its own country. Now, secondly, the way we define whether or not it is legitimate or it is based on the utilitarian outcome, because both sides concede that there will be exploitation. Therefore, the metric should be whether or not hacking is the most effective solution in this debate. Now, secondly, why then this debate is so urgent? Because we have no better alternative in ensuring that check and balance will exist under this kind of circumstances where both sides consider that the exploitation will happen under multinational corporation. Clarification to this debate. First, we are not talking about hacking in general. We are talking about hacking as a way and a form of revealing information as a form of protest, which we say by that metric it is legitimate. Now, second of all, what do we mean by hacking? Is that we are going to reveal the information on how the constant regulation of how the constant management of those corporations. If there are any exploitation, then we're going to expose everything. Now, thirdly, the burden of proof that we need to prove that whether this is legitimate or not, because if they bring it's like opposition trying to bring the case about legitimate or trying to bring the case about direct protest, we say it still happened. The moment when this debate happened, it is the moment when there are no alternative that can be given, which we say the only way is by hacking. Now, going on to my argument, I'm going to talk about three arguments today. First, why then this is principally legitimate, and secondly, what are the impacts that are going to be impacted, and thirdly, what are the trade-offs that we are going to make. First argument, why then this is principally legitimate? Firstly, we are going to identify two stakeholders. First, protest to politician and multinational corporation, and second, protest as a social movement. As we see in the current status quo, there are many politicians or this kind of multinational corporation that do not have any accountable, that cannot be held accountable, or that they are corrupted. Especially, it happens in multinational corporation. But when we do protest, we are seen as illegitimate. Our voice are being dismissed because those politicians or those people who own these multinational companies or corporation can be easily swayed away by the narrative that they didn't do that, or it's very easy for them to deny the allegation that pointed out against them. So we said the only way we can strengthen our voice is to protest by making or by hacking. We can get a confidential info from this multinational corporation, whether it is to track whether or not they corrupt or whether or not they are being exploitative towards their labor by giving them the salary to lower than the minimum. So we say that is kind of action happen because there are less check and balance under their self-doubts when those companies never see the urgency, because when they can easily sway away those kind of allegation to them, which we say it is just going to be really harmful when we actually do not make any form of protest in a way that is more powerful, which is by hacking, by revealing those information of those companies itself. So therefore, by that matrix, we can get a more meaningful form of protest, because at least we can reveal all those concrete proof that can be get directly when we are doing direct protest or etc. So we say under the house, we are going to provide a better way of protest. So opposition cannot come out and say that there will be other alternative, because we have proven to you why then, without any empirical proof gained by via hacking, other form of protest will be seen as illegitimate. Thus, our voice will never be heard, because simply they can sway away all the narrative that they are not really that bad, how they have provide the labor as what they're supposed to get, which we say it is just going to be harmful, because we can really see we do not really have those concrete proof, and we can get society in our side, because we can really prove to the society that we have those concrete proof that this corporation is really actually being exploitative. So why then this is society? Because the fact that when we have no evidence, they can easily sway us. So we can't really hold any politician or any corporation accountable and properly protest, because they can sway away us easily, and it is hard for us to gain the support from society, because we never really provide them any concrete proof. So why then hacking is the only way? Because by the metric of hacking, this looks like labor union hacking the multinational corporation info, like hacking their email to see whether or not the salary that they're supposed to get. So we say by that we are going to get a concrete proof. So at least we can really know whether or not those information that constantly being regulated is true or not. So by that way, we can make the labor union being benefited in our side, because the moment when we hack those information, at least they can get the concrete proof that they're being exploited and etc. By that way, they can also get the support from society, and we are going to be seen as a social movement that fight for the people, or fight for the labor union that are actually being exploited under the house. So secondly, now going on to my second argument, what are the impacts that we are going to do under the house? We say under the house we are going to make a meaningful outcome for the protest itself. We are going to see it as a stronger social movement by getting the support from society, by hacking, by revealing the information, like how they constantly hack, like how they constantly exploit their labor or etc. Why then this utilitarian outcome is better? Because when we provide this kind of when we provide hacking, it will be better to the check and balance, because the fact that a multidimensional corporation will feel the urgency to at least not exploit their labor, because they're afraid that they're going to get the backlash from society, because they know when hacking we are revealing all those concrete proof of their information, of those company, of those corporations, that what they really do. And by that way, they're also afraid that they are going to lose that they're going to getting backlash and being shut down at the end of the day by society. So we say it will going to make more urgency for the company or for the corporation to at least be better, and that's why we say it is going to be better. Now, thirdly, what is the trade-off that we are going to make? Why then, even if it is unjustifiable by the metrics that we are actually violating the privacy of the multinational corporation, we say it is going to be the good for all, because it is based on the utilitarian outcome, where we are considering the outcome there. We are going to sacrifice this one thing, this privacy is not as urgent as the life of those labor unions that are being exploited. Because they're exploited, they do not get the salary that they're supposed to get, which we say it is going to be better, because at least under ourselves, when we guarantee that those labor unions are not being exploited, at least they can support their life, at least they can provide food in their table, which we say it is going to be better, because the fact that the moment when we prioritize those privacy, it is just going to be useless, because when they're prioritize their privacy, it is going to be useless, because they are kept being exploitative, and sway away those narratives that they are actually being exploited, which we say it is going to be harmful by the metrics that those people are not going to have. Are not going to get the justice, because they are constantly being exploited at the end of the day. So we say the trade-off under the house is better, because we don't think privacy is as urgent as the life of those people, as the life of the labor union that are being exploited. So we say at the end of the day, our side of the house prefer and want to prioritize the utilitarian outcome, and we are so proud to propose. Thank you
very much for Prime Minister's speech. And now let's see the response coming from the leader of opposition. Here.
I will set my timer first. I will start my debate in, okay, before that, my pronoun is she or her. If you have any POI, you can chat in the chat box. Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judges don't buy a framing. They said that there's no alternative, but there's a lot of other alternatives, right? There is boycott, mass protest, demonstration, and this proven to you that this is work in the exact world. For example, like LGBTQ movement in America. Before it, they cannot have any marriage, right? But now the Joe Biden is elected, then LGBTQ movement can actually achieve in there. They're actually a marriage. And it's not legitimate. In status quo, hacking has a way of protest have been done by several people. No, thank you. Like Anonymous, like they hack the databases corporation to reveal certain secrets, right? Our stance, we want to do this in a legitimate way. For example, like boycott, like mass protest and demonstration. Our goal, we don't want people to see that hacking as a legitimate way and the right way to fight at something. We want people protest and help with uphold the principle of the law itself. Okay, in this debate, I will explain why hacking is not the legitimate way. And second of all, why is it better for inside of the house when we use the protest? Okay, first of all, why is it not justified? Why hacking is not a legitimate way? They argue that it is a legitimate way because it is utilitarian. So it make it legitimate. They said, so it means that in their case, in their side of the house, it's okay to shoot rich people that have to get money and then give so many poor people to get it, right? But we must know that the parameter of a legitimate is the first, as a protest is first one, the parameter is it must be legal. In case, in our case, in other way, like boycott, mass protest, and demonstration are legally supported by law, by the society, by the government. They have support because it is completely legitimate, and it must be legitimate, and it must be a legal way that is supported by a law. Hacking violates the legality of the process itself because it is not legal. And what makes hacking is not legitimate? Hacking is an authority, institution, and company to stealing data, identity of the employee, including the data, and not necessarily needed just for something like this. It is not legitimate. So the government outlawed hacking because of that. We have to fulfill why it is not legitimate. And then what is the second parameter? It is about the accountability. Something must have the accountability because it is hacker. It is have an anonymously because people can do what people don't know who is the person is, and they can do whatever they want because no one know what are they doing. They can do as bad as such a thing that is outside the product itself for their own benefit, and they feel they are right because they think that the corporation itself is so greedy because the multinational corporation is really bad. They just uphold because the grievances of the people. They feel that they are right. It is not what we want as the options of the house. First of all, I will explain my first idea why multinational corporation is not that bad. First of all, the government side of the house never explain why this corporation multinational is really bad because they only plan the best case scenario where this multinational corporation is really bad because first of all they give people employment. What is important because so many people need employment to live, to enjoy their life because when you attack this multinational corporation, there are many people in danger with employment. They will lose their job and they lost their source of income. They cannot eat, they cannot use, they cannot continue their life being anymore. And then second of all, this multinational corporation give a lot of contribution to the country. They give taxes to the country because this is the multinational corporation itself. They give a lot of taxes to the country, and it's benefiting for a lot of people because the government uses the taxes for help poor people too, to help a lot of people too. And third of all, this multinational corporation also give products to people. They give something that people needed because without the product that the multinational corporation, there is something they needed in the world. For example, like they give food, they give something electronics that is needed in the country itself. So they have a lot of contribution too. Even if no thank you, even if they do the bad things, why status quo is enough? They argue that check and balance in the status quo is not enough, but we said it is enough. Why? Because the government itself have the law and the regulation that is about the child labor regulation, right? And there is also in the US, the Facebook has a trial itself, right? So the social movement, the Black Lives, like global warming or LGBT in US, because the Joe Biden is elected. So this kind of social movement is being heard by the society because there are power in so many people, right? By this hacking, like this hacking is not the legitimate way. We have the legitimate way, and status quo is enough because if protest itself, we can have a cancel culture, and it is enough. So we don't need something illegal. Why? Because if this kind of protest is very mass, so people just want, so they need a good name, right? That I will explain later in my extension. So they use this, I will explain later in my extension. So these kind of people use this point to discredit the grievances of the public itself. In the long term, there is no guarantee, these kind of people not making the benefit for themselves because their name is unknown, so they can really free from the law what they have done. So they can just selling the information for more and more people to gain their own benefit. They're just give in the name of the grievances of the people. So they think that they are right, but they're actually doing something bad. We don't want the society to see that hacking is a legitimate way of protest. So violation is just a general way. So in my extension, even if it's justified, the hacking is not effective itself. First, they're a multinational corporation, so they can owe more, they can run more big hacker itself. And second of all, they will not get support from the government because they are not legal. They are inside of the law, right? They are. And then third of all, they not get the support from the society itself because they argue that like this, they argue that it will make the social movement itself more popular. Why? Because the society see that they're good, do the violation. So the society will see that this social movement just do the best thing, just as the multinational corporation itself. Why we must support it, right? So the kids get bashed, and moreover, the social movement itself needs support from society, right? So they will not get the support from society, then it will not that effective. Comparison in our side of the house, we good in the good name. So many people will support us because the corporation itself need a good name to gain profit from other people. They need the support from society itself. If society bash them, then the corporation will change another way to make society just love them and buy their thing. Therefore, we already explained to you why is it justified because hacking is not a legitimate way, and second of all, why it is more effective in our side of the house by our alternative. There are from us. We are so proud to oppose.
Thank you very much for leader oppositions. And now I'd like to call Deputy Prime Minister here.
Is my voice loud and clear? I'll start my speech. I'll start my speech at 3, 2, 1. Judge, even if this hacking is not the best alternative, but it's the large resources that my first speaker have stated to you to protest against the multinational company, our BOB is really simple. Is it legitimate or not? If there is another alternative like that the first speaker of oppositions bring you about, like for example, the boycott, the direct protest, it still happen on the other side of the house, but at least our burden of proof is clear that is it legitimate or not. And my first speaker have stated to you that it's legitimate because it based on the utilitarian income, you get the evidence or real proof on the outside of the house. Proud to propose. Firstly, I want to respond towards the opposition team. I have 3 responses towards them. First of all, they told you that it must be illegal. I mean, if you want to make something illegal, it doesn't necessarily mean about the process, because it's not about the problem is the process is important or not, because the process is not important, because if they already do the violations, it's already enough to actually protest them doing the violation too. I mean, the multinationals, the problem in the status quo, the urgency of this debate, the multinationals already do a lot of exploitations. If they're like the first speaker have stated to you that they're not really that bad, I mean, this debate wouldn't happen at the end of the day too, right? By hacking to the trade-off of human violations, like trade-off hacking versus human rights violations. The labor that get constantly exploitations do not get any minimum wage or getting like really valid from the multinationals company. This exploitations to the trade-off of the process is not really important, right? The process is like just hacking, getting the violation, getting the evidence of they already do, like for example, getting the evidence of the violations. I mean, there's no harmful of that. We're just saying that we also like for example, helping the government to actually gain the evidence. There's no harm in that cases. Even the harm is happened, it's still okay to the trade-off that they already do the violation too towards the to the labor itself. And we think the harm of the human rights violations is bigger rather than we revealing by hacking that they even do not state it to you what is their alternative to get the real evidence at the end of the day. But second responses, they told you about the selfish interest. Let's respond to 2 reasons. The first one, I mean, this wouldn't happen. This is just about to protect, to protest. If they have a selfish interest, we also do not support them to hacking, because our burden of was just talking about the my first speaker have framed to you that the actor in this debate is the one that want to protest the multinationals company. If they have selfish interest, we also say that it's not legitimate at the end of the day. But second responses, the problem is why on the side of the house they will get a real evidence that we told you the real evidence is important in status quo to actually criticize the government, where to actually criticize the multinationals company, where the multinationals company have the personal card where they are likely to lying, they are likely to control how the society perspective of them. At least on the outside of the house, how the society will hear you more since you have the have a real evidence that is status quo. How the people start to aware if this legitimate people that we think, oh, this is real, and at the end of the day, we can actually gain the more supporters of like the labor union and etc. But then of all, in principle, they told you about the multinationals is good and not really that bad. I mean, you are really rhetoric opening opposition. If there's no violence that do by the multinational company, this debate will happen too. Are you protect the evil actor? Are you protect the exploitator? You do that under your side of the house. Would you, like, for example, support the multinational company. I mean, in the both side of the house, you should protect the labor union. You should protect those people that got exploitations. But the problem is it legitimate by hacking or not? You don't necessarily mean your burden of proof to prove why the multinational company is good or not. That's why their whole argument is not axis in this debate, and their whole argument is an exclusive. Remember that just on the other side of the house, we also support the direct protest. We also support the boycott. But the problem is how the both sides of us got the evidence that we told you in the first speaker before. Now I'm going to my extensions. Why it will be effective? Firstly, this is the only way and last resources to get proof of the violation with the multinational company. To the trade-off, for example, hacking of the BLM stuff of the Black Lives Matters to the Minneapolis police website. After they hacking, they upload it to the for example social media and reveal it to the world. That means we can send the proof to the world about the proof of the system. That is to say, this will be effective under two reasons. Firstly, we can get more sympathy on the house of the house since we can gain the evidence, and the only one thing is by getting a factual evidence is by hacking. I mean, there's no way of this labor union to getting evidence on the house of the house because you just direct protest and there's no evidence of that the company just told you, oh, they have no evidence that I haven't do that kind of thing, that they are not legitimate at the end of the day. The word is come like the OG want to questions under the of the house is the multinational company will give you the real evidence. No, it's not. So what is the only way is by hacking, is by forcing the system to get the system what is happening in status quo. But second of all, it's effective, especially in status quo, where the society become aware of the hacktivism, where the society already in like 21st century society do it like already believe about the hacktivism. That means it starts in like Black Lives Matter stuff. They gain more than 120,000 followers to their social media about the hacking system of the Minneapolis police website. I mean, this is already effective based on the example. That is to say, at least on the outside of the house, we got the real evidence. Even in the worst scenario, this is not the best alternative. At least we already get the real evidence. That is to say, we also gain the direct protest. If the direct protest happen on the other side of the house, we can get the banner. We can also screenshot or spread those kind of thing, or just spread like what is in the system. We also can spread what is in like the percentage of the exploitations, or what is the minimum wage that the multinationals give towards the labor. And we think it's more effective rather than nothing. Rather than you cannot trade off. Well, the hacking is legitimate. I think it's legitimate since the utility count is so even bigger to the labor union, to the majority of the cases where they are the vulnerable actors. I mean, what is the impact in this debate is clear. So firstly, we told you how this the labor union can get more supporters because they even there in the direct protest, they can show you the real evidence that they got from the system. But second of all, it's principally justified. We will have proven to you why it's legitimate based on utility count. I mean, process is not important as long as you can, as long as the outcome is good. And if they talking about the process is important, and also the house, it's still okay if the process, the process is it's just like they already do the violations and we do violations. It's equal and it's metric in the both side of the house. So the check and balance can happen on the other side of the house in the practicality or even the principally. Proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Deputy Prime Ministers. And I would like to call Deputy Leader of Opposition. See you here.
Testing, am I audible?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, you shouldn't fall for the framing that is given by side opening government, right? I have several points of rebuttals towards opening government. First of all, the first speaker told you that in the end of the day their side is justified because there is no alternative, right? But notice how then in the second speaker they suddenly say that, oh, it's fine, alternative still exists, but their side is more effective and urgent, right? Two responses to this. First of all, it's a backlash to their first speaker when you say no alternative exists, and then you concede that alternative exists anywhere, right? But besides that, exactly because that boycott and other alternative exist and can still happen, why do you think those movements can appear in the very first place, right? Because there is evidence already in the status quo. That means the evidence available is still enough, right, for this type of movement to appear anyway. So we don't get the urgency at all coming from side opposition, side government, right? Second of all, when they told you all about how their only burden of us is to prove that is it legitimate or not, right? First of two responses to this, right? First of all, we have already stated that it is not legitimate within our metric, that it is not legal and that it is not accountable. But second of all, even if we play under their metric of utilitarian value, it falls too, which is why moving on to my rebuttals, right? We say that side government in the end of the day say that their side can provide more utilitarian value because these multinational companies can sway away allegation easily, and that the concrete proof that they can then be more meaningful tool to actually affect this type of multinational companies, right? But several responses to this. First of all, we say that in the end of the day, legitimate proof can still be gained without hacking, right? For example, the employees themselves speaking up about the wage conditions or about the workplace conditions, all of which can easily be made into concrete proof, right? Through, for example, proof of bank accounts, through video or photos of the workplace condition, and etc. Right? Thus, we say all of their argument regarding concrete proof can be easily brushed away, right? And second of all, when they say that companies can easily sway away allegation, we say that no, right? They keep talking about how in utilitarian measure hacking can be better, so allegations can be swayed easily, right? Several responses to this. First of all, it is simply untrue, right? Social movements in the current status quo are more and more powerful, right? We see the cancel culture movement appearing all over the place, where we can see entire company stocks rise and fall based off of the opinion of the public, right? With people boycotting entire companies, making them lose millions and millions of dollars, right? Second of all, people now also cares more about this type of violations by the multinational companies, right? Because they are more socially forward. It is the environment in which cancel culture appears and other type of culture to boycott companies appear in the end of the day, right? Third of all, companies also cares more, right? For example, we can see companies like Volkswagen, right, now going into producing planning to fully produce electric cars. Once it is found out that they fake their carbon emissions test for their car, where the public backlash is so huge that they are forced to change their entire direction in the end of the day, right? So it proves to you how in the end of the day we can still be as effective as what said government tries to portray, right? Fourth of all, the government also wouldn't be standing by and doing nothing, right, when there is severe breaches of the law. For example, we can see that on Facebook, where it is revealed that they don't respect their user privacy, right? The US government held trials for that and fined Facebook and things like that. If multinational companies, which is very public and very big, for example, employees child labor or failing to upload minimal wage law, it is very easy to find out about all of that, right? And multinational companies cannot afford that. Thus, we say that they are more likely to be careful anyway and outside those. And due to those reasons, we say that we don't get the urgency coming from side government at all, right? Second of all, when they say that hacking is more effective, right? We say that first of all, no, right? In a scenario where hacking is so widespread, companies are now more and more concerned about cyber security, right? So even in the current status quo, we can see that already, where companies are hiring a lot of cyber security specialists, hiring the hackers that used to hack their companies in the end of the day to beef up their security, right? And the end of the day, it will only make hacking harder under their status. Now we say the benefit is neutralized anyway, right? Second of all, even if hacking can still breach the security, we say that it's still not good, which I will explain later on in my substantive regarding vigilante justice. And third of all, the government also doesn't support this type of illegal activity, right? Thus, the movement doesn't have the support of the government, which is usually the most effective way to actually punish these companies. For example, to force a change of management, giving huge fines, etc. Right? Opening government cannot win this debate at all due to all those reasons. Right? Their utilitarian value and principle completely false, right? Because alternative exists, and also there is no urgency at all under their side of the house. Now, moving on to my substantive, I will bring one substantive in this debate, which is how it can lead to an encouragement of vigilante justice. Right? Three layers to this. First of all, what we mean by vigilante justice and why hacking encourages that sort of behavior, right? Vigilante justice is when someone or a group decides to feel like what they are doing is justice, that they are doing is right, when it's not actually legal or completely correct in the end of the day, right? Where they have no legal right to do so in the end of the day, right? And hacking is one of the most used way of vigilante justice due to how powerful it can be and how little accountability it has, right? People can feel like what they are simply doing is protesting and that they are doing justice, when in fact that might not be the case, and they can do it in a safe environment where they don't feel the punishment at all in the case where what they are doing is wrong, right? Because hacking is usually done anonymously, right? Second of all, why exactly is this sort of justice so bad? That can arise so bad, right? It creates a situation where people are now encouraged more and more to use hacking as a means of protest, hacking as a means of getting what you want in order, as long as you think that it is justice, as long as you think it is right? It might first be against the multinational corporations, but as people get more and more used to this sort of hacking, right, it will spill out to other sectors, right? Because now people are incentivized to learn more about this hacking, about it, and they feel like, oh, it is not morally reprehensible at all. We see that, oh, it's fine, it's fine to, for example, punish someone, invade their privacy, etc., as long as we feel that what we are doing is correct, right? It creates a situation where people are taking justice on their own head instead of following the rules of law and things like that, which is more in line with side opposition, right? Now, lastly, why opening opposition deserves to win this debate, right? The opening opposition bench has given to you the most important argument on why hacking doesn't fulfill the criteria of legitimate process due to its failing to meet the two criteria of legality and transparent and accountability, and and also we have proven to you how it can lead to a rise of vigilante justice, which can, in the end of the day, harm more people than it can benefit, and how the data gained for hacking can be misused due to the lack of transparency and accountability, right? We have given to you the most talking points, and we have also completely destroyed the case coming from side opening government, and due to all of the reasons above, you should vote for the opening opposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Deputy Leader of Oppositions. And to start the closing off, I would like to call government member here.
Yeah, my preferred pronoun is hear him. POIs in the chat. Don't start my speech. I'm sure everyone is ready. I'm setting my timer. I'll start in 3, 2, 1. I'm sure opposition is very, very wrong in this debate, where they keep talking about how protests will work, how there's accountability on their side, how people will just suddenly believe in their protest, right? Like, first of all, like under our side, we also support like people who protest in the streets, for example, or online protests, for example, because we understand that not every single person can just hack into multinational corporations, right? So that's why we believe that under our side, we believe that we still have people that still use protests under the ground. But what is the difference between us and opening government? We believe that the OG didn't give us reasons on why protest is not enough. They just say that it's legitimate and they can sway people. But they didn't give us any enough analysis, and we take that debate. And note that we're going to give a new form of characterization because we believe that they didn't give us a good enough characterization of hacking. Because what we wanted about hacking is that we wanted to reach their systems of how they work in their corporations, for example. We're not going to steal the CEO personal data, for example. We're not going to like harm their privacy. And secondly, we believe that we're going to use a third party that we could be hold accountable instead. Like instead of just using labor union that still has like hundreds of like thousands of people that can, for example, like give their own types of hacking, right? That is why we believe that using a third party that could be hold accountable is even better. So there will be no corruption, or there will be no like a misleading of hacking that has happened. But before jumping to my extension of 5 rebuttals towards the opening opposition, firstly, let's talk about how protests have already worked. But no, that is not exclusive because we already have protests. But they also say that multinational corporations have already given tax to country, and government has law. That's why they can stop. Facebook, for example, but that's not true because note that they give huge amount of money to lobby the politician to have a big campaign, for example, for them to win the election, so they can get lower tax, for example, so they can get lower fine if they have a lot of pollution, for example. Especially in developing country, they rely upon these huge and multinational corporations because this government doesn't have a huge bargaining power. They do not have the same bargaining power as these multinational corporations. That's why they have a more power to actually influence the government, to side in favor against the multinational corporations at the end of the day. That is why they cannot just say, oh, government has made law. That is why they cannot just make anything. The fact that Facebook already steals our information, the fact that iPhone, for example, like lowers our own like phone to when there's new releases, means that those kinds of law has been passed and still not work for these multinational corporations. But secondly, so what? They take people's information, they discriminate minorities, they make minimum wages for labor workers, for example, and you say that it's okay because they pay tax. I mean, that's just illogical because other corporations also pay tax, other minorities also pay tax, other society also pay tax. It is not exclusive to just say they give tax to the country, so it's already okay. And third rebuttals, they say that movement needs society support to succeed. Firstly, you do not have a ground of proof that corporation is bad. Under your side, how society will listen to you instead of the corporations? Because we believe that corporations can also buy the media, for example. They can make the gray area society side with them. And like the thing that opening government has failed to miss is that they talk about how there's gonna be personal experience and they could be a concrete proof. But like seriously, like corporations can still bribe people and can still bribe the management, for example, and say, oh, that thing that they have experienced is not true. Like because there is only words from your mouth. There's only words from some people that the corporation can just say that it's a rumor that happened, right? Like for example, like the comfort woman that has been like in Asia that has speak up but never gained closure because Japan just said it's a rumor, because Japan say that that's not true. That kind of things also happens in multinational corporations where they can just say that and just sway toward the people that those kinds of things are just rumors. But fourthly, they say about boycotting. I mean, like, not all people are gonna boycott. Like, people still don't support under your kind of movement, right? Like, even if you're boycotting a multinational corporations, like, so many people still use their products, for example. So many people still use their produce, for example. These kinds of things makes the corporations still more and have more influence and have more power under all country itself. And like the corporations can just make donations, for example, and say that, oh, because I've made donations, I've done enough. I've made more and give to charity, for example, and they are good and have a good public image. So people are already trapped in their illusion that yes, this corporation is good. Like, and just because like what you said, because they pay tax, the society will think, oh, this multinational corporation is good and they can just like still use their product. So boycotting will never be enough. But fifthly, they talk about how there's legal right, but we question them. When they sell our info, is that legal? When they lobby the government, like, is that legal? We do not understand why they even use the legal argument when they cannot stand, when the fact that the corporation has already made so much illegal things for us, for example, selling our privacy. Jumping to my extension, firstly, we believe that the fact that why protest in general doesn't work, we believe that corporations can buy media and make the protesters look bad. So even if there's so many people, they can just say these people that are marching on the streets are very violent. They can say that they are spreading rumors, for example, and because they hold too much power. Like we believe that even with online protesting, for example, like they can still buy bots to report them, so it got deleted. Like for example, their personal experience and they spread it in the internet. Like multinational corporations can still buy bots and like glorify their corporation instead. So they overshadow all of the complaints that they get from their workers, for example. Like these kinds of things will happen under their side of the house when multinational corporations have so much power and so much influence because they are rich. And we believe that we believe that hacking should be needed to have a concrete proof. But other than that, even if we look back, we're going to engage to our worst case. We still have those proof. We still have those evidence. So even if, for example, labor union worker is deemed as a bad worker, a bad movement, like other movement, like minority movement, for example, like the LGBT movement, the feminist movement, could still push through their agenda and use those proof that has been gained for those multinational corporations. So there's still so much other movement that could still help and could still push through their agenda to stop the multinational corporations from oppression, from like hack at the end of the day. The fact that we're using third party, we believe that people under our side will still protest at the end of the day. And the fact that we already have concrete proof, the fact that we can actually use those proof, even if we look bad, like we can still like protest about the multinational corporations for them to not have that much power. That means we have a more bargaining power as a society and as a consumer itself, because at the end of the day, we already understand that they have done something wrong. And like they cannot just say that we're going to just hack every single thing and it's become a justified thing, because we're already using a third party to be held accountable. So no mistakes will happen, and even if do, it will be very, very little. That is why I believe that under our side, when we can actually prove to you that corporations have done something wrong, they sell our information, we believe that this kind of hacking should be out to a proper state.
Thank you for the speech. And I would like to call oppositions member to proceed here.
Hi, is this lagging? Is my voice smooth? Hello?
Yeah.
I just plugged in my headset. Is this better?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay, I'll set up my timer first. Okay, I think I don't have that great of an internet connection, so I might not be able to open my camera. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay. Oh. I will take the POIs from the chat. My preferred gender pronoun will be she or her. Okay, I will start in 3, 2, and 1. Hacktivism is an activism that is malicious, destructive, and undermining the security of the internet as a technical, economic, and political platform. If you are saying that this is a legitimate way of protesting, then you also agree that cybercrime, cyberterrorism, and other malicious ways of protest are okay, because essentially all of these are ways of protesting, right? Also, we're talking about multinational corporations and not dictatorship countries where the crime is that severe. Most likely what will take place is underwage, corruption, and etc. The fact that you want to hack and protest means that you already know that something is wrong. Therefore, we do not need this hacktivism to be able to prove to the government why then they need to conduct a sort of investigation on these companies and to check and balance on why they did something wrong and something illegal, right? The analysis is simple. The reason why police need a warrant is to protect privacy of the individuals. And this is the exact same case that we are talking about here. The privacies of individuals are really, really important. And I'm going to divide this debate into two clashes. First, the principle. First of all, it is unjustifiable for you to accept criminal illegal behaviors just because they are protesting against multinational companies. Privacy is important, or at least not shared with the general society. It is confidential business strategy. Sharing it just takes away companies' growth and can directly lead to bankrupt because the info leaked will be utilized by their competitor, for example. Stock markets crash, and this creates more harm to the company and economy. The workers also lose their job, and it is not what closing opposition wants. Not all protests are good protests, and that's a fact. If you make this legitimate, protests become bad protests. You can just protest and hack for issues like low wage and share privacy of the consumers and companies too. Exactly, closing government, you realize that Apple stores much of our information, and if hacked, our information will be breached, our social security number, bank account number, and that is not something that we want under our side of the house, because we always want to protect our privacy, and some things need to stay confidential. What did OG bring to you, right? First, they want check and balance. The fact that this can also happen under our of the house means that their case is not exclusive. Government will have the incentive to check and balance because they also want to cater to society's needs. The problem is that will the hacked evidence be credited at all? Will you as a society believe a fake account saying that your favorite sausage company being corrupt? No. And second of all, they talk about evidence, evidence, evidence. Illegal evidence cannot be credited in court. Furthermore, why will they credit you? They never proved to us with a single analysis until the CG speech. OO's case is very simple. They tell you that hacking is wrong because it violates people's privacy. Yet they fail to prove to you why on the principle basis privacy is crucial for people and companies, which is crucial in today's debate. They need to stop all the best case analysis where they say companies are directly going to change out of nowhere. We're going to prove to you why with thick layers of analysis, so why change is impossible or unlikely to happen under their side, and why it is better under our case. Going on to the second clash on the practical, right? First of all, OG and CG's case is not at all exclusive. Their benefit is achievable under our side too. When information hacked is uncredible or framed as so, there is lack of incentive from government to check it because people don't care much. And this is very unique and something that you should credit Judge, because we believe that this has only been brought until closing opposition. Compared to our side, at least the moment you do protest, the moment you tell the government to actually do conducted investigation against these matters, the government is going to more likely do it because you are protesting as a community. You're protesting with people on the road, showing to the government that you have a voice. And why would the government even listen to you? Because they need you, because they need your vote. And the reason why you protest offline is because it gets more attention from people. It gets more sympathy from people looking at you protesting for the sake of your life, for the sake of your money that you get in working inside of that company. And the fact that you get more sympathy and supporters under or side the house means that the government will also more likely to pay attention to you and take care of that problem, because essentially they need your vote, right? Under their side of the house, this cannot happen because they never prove to you, even in one sentence, how this hacking evidence is going to be credited by the government at all, because what essentially we need is change. And second of all, under their side, if they try and say that they need to get evidence about multinational companies, it will be useless. By hacking, you're taking illegal information. If you can be able to get the real information, since these companies are powerful, as opening governments claim, there's no way you can attack them with these illegal actions. They can just simply negate you by saying that because you're also illegal and anonymous with no real proof. Since they are powerful, they can hire expensive lawyers and defend themselves. Using that, they can use bots to cover up your proof, say that it's false info, that companies or other competitors are trying to drag them down by making them go bankrupt. And why is this even possible? Because we can see that since they're very powerful, there's unlikely that they're just going to let those things happen in the current status quo by letting those rumors go around, right? They're just going to cover it up, say that it's false, and you're going to believe these companies more because these companies are not anonymous. They use amazing lawyers, for example, like Hotman Paris, to support them. And which one are you going to believe? Anonymous accounts or credible lawyers, right? Third of all, there's the lack of accountability under their side, which results to worse protests. First of all, you have no real and good protest because it is anonymous. At least under closing opposition, people support you because you're real people who are easy to sympathize with. When they see you demonstrating, they see your signs saying that how you have suffered during these past years because of your underwage, how you have to eat once a day only. And they see people crying because of protests. They are hit by the police, for example. The moment you do these kinds of protests, people are going to sympathize to you, people are going to support you. And second of all, the moment that happens under their side, people normalize hacking. And this results to huge chaos. People normalize you hacking, and us consumers are posed to larger threats and harms. How can you hold them accountable if they're anonymous? And third of all, you're not going to get people's support because you are a hacker, an illegal hacker. If you hack BTA, people are going to be scared of you taking their money. And it's even easier for companies to frame it that way because people find them credible and you're not. If the companies do care about their consumers, they'll already listen to small protests of people demanding accountability. That is why we must play in the case where companies are indeed guilty and powerful. And during that, even on our worst case where companies are that powerful, we can still achieve it because at least we can still get the support from real people, real individuals, instead of under their side of the house where maybe they get support online. But what's the case? Online protest happens every time. Things go viral every day. People forget next week, even the next day after the protest happens. Therefore, it's going to be overcrowded with amounts of protests and amounts of illegal hacking that the government no longer care about you. That is why, since the harm, the trade-off is clear, right? By hacking, you get awful harms. You're illegal, you invade people's privacy, people discredit you more and more. Therefore, since the harm is very harmful towards individuals and towards the companies itself, we believe that we want to illegitimize these kinds of protests and stick to the amounts of other protests like social media protests or offline protests that can be able to help, that can also achieve the same benefit that they achieve under government's team, and even much better because we just proved to you that they will fail. Proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you very much for oppositions members. And not to close the entire bench from the government side, I would like to call government whip. You're here.
All right, am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right, this is loud and clear, right? So give me a second, so I'll just set my timer first. Okay, so I think all the judges and the points are ready, and I will just literally start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Judge, I have listened about the word hacking is illegal, come from OO and CO for around like 5 times, and without thinking about how even illegal things that multinational corporations do is illegal too, to propose. But before that, several rebuttals or several responses that I will bring to rebut opposition best of the house. Firstly, about closing opposition. Opposition have to remind you that closing opposition have the same case with opening opposition about how hacking is bad or etc. It literally just the same way they say about how this kind of way is actually bad and how this kind of way is actually illegal. But about the responses, I have 2 responses toward their cases. Firstly, all right, they say about government will listen to you, right? Because they need you for the election. But excuse me, they will listen to multinational corporations that actually give them so much money to the politicians. Why? Because the fact that they give them money, so they can actually like, you know, making a huge campaign. They can actually like making a huge, a huge attachment or a huge campaign for the society, then they can attract majority to vote them. They can when they already have a certain or have a huge campaign to the society, when they told society about what they do. But this is because of the multinational corporations that give so much money for them, for example, then majority will attach for them or majority will vote for them. So they will not inherently listen to you anyway. And secondly, your protest is a minority movement. So without any proof that you get, without proof that you get, politicians will listen to majority anyway, right? Even if multinational corporation don't lobby you, but your way is also not exclusive, because like your way is actually like, depend on the rumor, for example, depend on your prediction or etc. But you don't have any proof, right? So how can you expect the majority to listen to you while they will just side with multinational corporation, and then your way or your alternative is also not exclusive. And also to remind that closing opposition is even literally dismissed on my members that told you about how we have the third party we have the third party to hold accountable even if there is a mistake under the house. But before that, several framing that we'll get today. 2 reasons why we different from opening government. Firstly, opening government talk about the politicians, right? So there's no analysis, no process how they can be swayed, but we just listen about how they say about how they will be swayed, but with no analysis. And we appreciate what they say about social movement. But it's 2 best case. They don't even explain to you how if you fail, how if people look bad at us and don't believe on us and side with this multinational corporation, like how if you fail, how if government don't support you about the because they just took on Brace basket without ever explain about that. And thirdly, we have to explain to you how opening opposition have to go for in this debate. Firstly, I have told you that they still keep like 5 times talking about illegal or etc. So do you think that action by the multinational corporation is not illegal? I think that you also consider this kind of thing is illegal, right? So we do hack the information about the program. We do have information about how the program work, but it's not necessarily hack for their CEO information about etc. So we make sure that there's no mistake. But even if there's a mistake, but we have told you that we have the third party to hold it accountable. So we make sure that there's no corruption or there's no mistake on the outside the house. And also we just don't understand what do they want to achieve, right? They have never explained to you how the alternative can work under the house. Their only response is about the legal. It's about how hacking is illegal, right? And they also they do believe and side with us by saying that all right, multinational corporation is bad. They by their speech, we know that they support us. We know that they support how multinational corporation is bad. But the question is that how do you gonna solve it? They don't even explain to us. They don't even tell us how their if alternative can even work. We don't get that from the vendors of the house. If they cannot prove to you why the gray area society will side for you, then you only use your personal experience, or why you always could still be a rumor or etc. Then they cannot win this debate, because the society can be swayed too by the corporation, right? And so secondly, opposition have to engage about how hacking is not selfish need, but for common good for society. That we believe that on this kinds of things, we are the team that can actually win this classes. But before that, several classes that we will win. Firstly, about legitimacy. We believe that it is legitimate to protest since the corporation action is actually harming people. Like for example, let's take the example of like in the pursuit of pollution. Some MSC have been criticized of our social pollution, environmental degradation of developing economies where policy standard lower what member has said. And secondly, they pay politicians to lower the tax rate and also dismiss their politician, which means that this is also like, they try the politician, they are actually manipulate or even like paying the politicians to actually like dismiss their politician. They do even harming the people. And also thirdly, government being lobbied and don't have any bargaining power, like what my member have told you clearly. And also the lastly, more specific characterization on MNCs that asymmetric power to lobby actually the local government in developing country that also they have been explained clearly, which is my member have told you. But also talking about alternative, right? All right, we are not just follow what opening government say about how protest other alternative protest is will not gonna work, but we say that we are different because we believe that we have several reasons why this alternative can work, but it's different from opening government. Firstly, we believe that they are rich, they can buy the media, right? That even if and they can buy the media to make this protester look bad, like one member has said. And like for example, they can vilify the protester. If they can like say to the protester, they can say to the majority, they can say to the society that it is actually wrong. It's actually like it's actually like a bullshit or etc. But secondly, with online protests, for example, like we see that they can also like order a bot, for example, to lobby your protest, for example, to stop your protest. And the fact that they got money from us, which is the consumer, right? We as the consumer, but they use it to influence the world and becoming the multinational corporation. And we believe that this is actually unjustified for consumer itself, and we believe that this is not fair. Even if we look back, we still have proof, right? We still have proof. So other movement can push. Like for example, LGBTQ movement or like feminist movement or the other minority movement, they can push. Like for example, even if we look back and even majority of people or the government are not believe on us, and they can actually even if the multinational corporation can buy a media, for example, to make society look bad at us. But we believe that other minority movement like us can push the fact that because like this other movement or the other minorities movement, like for example, like feminist movement or LGBTQ movement, they can feel related about what the problem that this kind of things is happen, right? For example, they can actually know and relate how bad this multinational corporation do to them, how bad they being treated extremely harmful, they being treated extremely cruel in that kind of corporation. So they can actually relate it to us, and they can likely in order to push that kind of our way, they can put because they feel related. Even if we are being destroyed, even if we are failed because of that kind of multinational corporation do, but we still have support, which means that we get support, and we can actually like get the minority movement that can support us, they can push our solution. Because of that, we believe that under the house, we say that we have already explained to you, and we have already framed to you how many times how opposition been kind of win this debate and how we are different from opening government itself. Then we believe that because of several responses that we give, and we different from that kind of benches, that we believe that we are the team that can win this debate. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for government whip. And to close the entire debate, I would like to call opposition's whip here. Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, so let me start. Panel, CZ have to go for because of the repetitive argument that basically the same thing with OG. The only thing they say is bitchy openings and analysis that cannot apprehend OG. Okay, they talk about all the analysis based on how powerful this company is and how they can actually bribe politicians, they can buy media and etc. We believe that is not an exclusive harm. Under their side of the house, they can also bribe this to actually cover up the evidence. Well, under their side of the house, they use uncredible evidence. We don't understand why they will be believed in any way. They talk about how they will use politics. We believe that it is not exclusive. This can happen under the side of the house. We don't understand why this is only an exclusive harm under our side of the house. Okay, they talk about how, like, for example, Japan deflect rumor, etc. We believe that, for example, in cases of, for example, Uyghur, China, the UK had China security system to steal Uyghurs, but China can easily deflect it because it is an incredible source. It used hacking, it used a crime as a way to find out this kind of thing. And for that reason, we believe that this proves to us that this hacking source is an incredible source. And because of that reason, we believe that even at the best case, they get this kind of evidence, they can use it as a way to, for example, incentivize more protests, etc. But because the source is not credible, we already proven to you why it's not credible, and because they never prove to us why this source is credible, and people will suddenly believe a blank account posting that this is bad, we believe that under the rest of the house they cannot work. Their argument run on the very strong. We believe that it is, if the company is really that strong, then no change will happen because they will not care anyway. Okay, CEO has to go through because of their lack of livelihood, and OO has to go through because of their lack of livelihood and elaboration. Everything they bring is baseless claim, and it's too best case saying that change will always happen, which will prove to you why we can still do it even if companies are powerful. We also give you 3 layers of reasoning why protests are better under our side, with principal analysis why privacy is crucial that OO clearly failed. We talk about why privacy is that important. We talk about how this is confidential business and can cause, for example, bankruptcy. For example, let me give you a short example. In Indonesia, Tokopedia's source got leaked, and because of that, a lot of people stopped using Tokopedia, causing millions of rupiah lost because of that kind of leak. And because of that reason, this could pursue the thing that they want to save the most, which is labor rights. We believe that if they lost their job, labor lost their job, then they have failed to protect what they really want. We believe that by actually hacking, it's not only stealing information, but you're also stealing information, the one that you want to protect the most, which is the customer. For example, exactly because MG has already talked about how iPhone, Facebook stole a lot of your data. The difference is that iPhone and Facebook keep your data to themselves. What happened when this hacker exists? This hacker will use this data, can leak it. They can use this as a way to leak their information, which harm the society. So yes, you have a good intention. You want to save labor union, but what's the difference? But in what extent? You expand the loss of millions of society itself. You actually lost, for example, millions of security number of society leak into the street right now. People can use it. People can scam them using this kind of social security number. Yes, you have good intention, but at last, what's your intention is going to be harmed. This is a clearly deontology argument, deontology debate, because first, the benefit is not exclusive. They want labor. So we have told you there's so many alternatives. We told you on how under our side of the house, protests can be heard, and how we use credible information that cannot be dismissed. For example, let me give you a short example. Elon Musk, if the company really care about the customer, as what OG has told you, we believe that, for example, people like Elon Musk put their time every day on Twitter to respond to people clarification, people rumors, to clarify everything. We believe that we don't think that it's necessary to hack. We believe there's so many other ways that will actually make your protest stronger. The benefit is not exclusive, and second of all, they create a solid harm. We believe that your process create harm, that the one that you want to protect the most is labor. We told you how bankrupt, which is going to harm the labor itself. So because of that reason, we believe that the one you protect the most is going to be harmed anyway under your shutdown. That's why proposition bans lost in this debate. Okay, OG is simply lucky because they are opening government. They still have to lose because our whole case just completely destroy their principle and practical. We get better protest and likelihood of success because it's always easier to discredit info coming from illegal hackers, from fake accounts, etc. They talk about how evidence and etc. We believe that we believe that evidence, for example, evidence is not important. We believe that evidence, if they talk about, for example, we are willing to trade our evidence, for example, for more security of the society, because we want to save the society as a whole, not only labor worker, because we believe that if you want evidence, there's so many ways to get evidence rather than hacking. There is, for example, an interview for the victim, investigation, incentive, because we already proven to you why there are incentives, for example, from government to investigate from this company. And because of that reason, we believe the evidence is not something that's very exclusive. They need to prove to us why exclusive, and why we also prove to you why this could happen exclusively under us, because we have proven to you, well, this thing actually exists. People will show up to this anonymous because they don't want to get caught and anything. So what is going to do in a future protest is people using hacker as a way to get information. So every protest will use hacking and etc. This is what is going to happen under us at the house, where normalization of hacking, causing a blurred line between cybercrime, hacking for good or hacking for example, bad things. There will cause a huge blurred line under us at the house. They talk about how it is clear we give better engagement and response from than OO, because they cannot even bother to POI government case. This proves to you that they also agree to government cases. And then let's talk about OG check and balance. Okay, they talk about if they really care about customer, that's why they will respond if they have some sort of evidence. But with that first, this is not exclusive. For we have proven to you even small rumors, small scandal can affect a big company, for example. That's why Elon must spend his time to clarify all misunderstanding, to actually provide to customer. We believe that there is some sort of customer trust and, for example, creator trust that happens in that side of the house that could not achieve under your side of the house. And because we have proven to you why this odontology, because their benefit is not exclusive, and their benefit, the result that they are wanting about, is going to be harmed anyway, and it's going to be harmed the actor that they want to protect the most. We also prove to you why, for example, why under closing government cases, and why their cases cannot work, because they play in the two worst scenario that cannot also work to their benefit, because under that of the overshadow or something, closing the evidence can also exist if that company is really powerful. They can actually deflect this kind of evidence they using bot as they want, can also exist under the side of us. So because of that, and we have proven to you why we are better than OO in so many ways, we deserve to champion this debate. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for opposition's whips, and thank you very much for all the debates. So we're going to announce it soon. So me and my panel will have the discussions, and we'll see you soon in the grand final announcements. Thank you.